is a couple of presentations actually done by Yaesu. They did a much better job than I could have done on my own, so we'll go with that. Then we'll get into our own little setup that we've got here and demonstrate that. System Fusion, well, they call it the best solution for the future. That's up to you to decide. Fusion is a combination of analog and digital. In other words, if you don't want to buy a digital radio and you've got an analog radio, it works just fine on this system. Hit the wrong button there. In the digital, actually, there's 4 different modes of operation. There's a VD mode, which is voice data simultaneously, which I've never tried that. Voice FR mode, which is voice full rate mode. Data FR mode, which is high-speed communications data, and analog FM mode. So VD mode is the most common, I believe. Voice FR mode is probably the second most. And if you don't have a digital radio, you're going to be on there with FM, so that all plays a part. Now, if you're going to be talking on the digital repeater, you have to remember AMS mode, automatic mode select. That automatically hears whether you're digital or analog, and it switches the repeater to be likewise. In other words, if you transmit it on FM from your home radio, the repeater is going to transmit FM. If you're transmitting digital, the repeater is going to switch to digital. Digital GM function. GM stands for group monitor. If you're on a frequency of a repeater that has digital capability, then you can put it into group monitor mode, and it will display the stations that are also digital on the same frequency. Snapshot function. We're going to demonstrate that here shortly. And what that is, you can buy one of these camera microphones and plug it into either a FTM 400 or an FT2 and probably the 3, and send pictures, still pictures, to anyone else on the same frequency with the same type of equipment. Smart navigation function. This is something that I played around with, but I'm not real comfortable with. It enables real-time location checking at any time. Not all Fusion radios are GPS equipped, but the high-end ones are. The 400, the FT2, FT3 do have built-in GPS. And if you go into the GPS mode, this screen right here is what you'll see. It'll give you your position, your distance from the station you're talking to if they're digital, and so forth. And it's got there's also a backtrack function, which I've never tried, but it sounds interesting. It enables navigation to a registered location at the touch of a button. In other words, when you're at a location that you want to memorize, just touch the memory button on here, and it will memorize the GPS position where you are. And if you go hiking, get lost, or get turned around and don't know which way camp is, you can hit the backtrack function, and it'll tell you what direction and how far away you are from the position that you saved. DR1 repeater, we've got one sitting back there on the back table. It's not operational. We didn't bring out everything we needed to set it up. I thought we did, but we didn't. And that would have been interesting. But anyway, Nick owns that repeater, and he'll be glad to tell you anything that you need to know about it. Now, the club has a DR2 repeater. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a little bit more advanced than the DR1. I don't think this presentation even discusses the DR2. The DR1, which the DR2 will duplicate these functions. The modulation mode, 25 kC, FM, 12.5 kC, C4 FM, and that's also in WD-BD mode, VFR mode, and DFR mode. System Fusion is not compatible with D-Star, GMSK, or any other digital format. Output power is 50 watts. We're still talking about the repeater here, but it can also be throttled back to 25 watts or 10 watts. It's got a pretty large heat sink on it. If you look at that one back there, it's and a big cooling fan to keep it cool. And it does have dual power supplies. In other words, you can plug it into an AC outlet and it powers from that. And if you've got battery backup, it's got a connection where you can plug in an external battery for operation in case of a power failure. Let's see. System. Let's get along with this. Okay, that's pretty well that on that presentation. Let's skip ahead to another one. These are the various radios. Let me get it, scroll down here. There we go. Now the DR2X is also a dual band, dual receive, heavy duty receive digital repeater. It's similar to the DR2, the DR1X. Nick, what's the difference? The main difference between the one and the two?
DR2X, you can link up to another 2X repeater without the internet. You can do repeater linking because as long as the repeater has RF coverage to another DR2X, you use the IMS and then that's the big deal.
Okay, very good. When it comes to HTs, they've got a new one out called FT3. The main difference between the FT2D and the FT3D is the 3 it's got a color screen. That's the main difference. There is one or two smaller differences. The FT2 and the FT3 are true dual band receivers. In other words, they can receive both bands at the same time. So that's very desirable. Plus, of course, it's got APRS. If you want to dedicate one of the bands or one of the sides to APRS, you can do so. That's what I do on mine. I set the lower band to the APRS frequency, and as I move about, it transmits my location. Let's see here. We've got the FT70D. I think, Nick, don't you have a 70, or is it yours a 60?
70.
Okay.
Kim's got one too.
Who?
Kim does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got mine laying up here too, if you want to look at it.
Okay. Is it a dual band receive or is it single band receive?
You can just be on one at a time.
Okay. It's one band receive at a time on the 70. I don't have one, so I didn't know that for sure. It says it's a dual band, but that means it'll operate on two different bands. It doesn't necessarily mean it can receive on two different bands. And I use mine with APRS, so one of my bands is tied up with that all the time anyway. Now here's my favorite radio, the FTM 400. I've got two of them, and I really enjoy using them. They're true dual band radios. They receive on both high VHF and UHF. They do fusion. They do fusion, which is digital. They do APRS, it does just about everything you can think of on a dual band radio. If you buy the optional camera microphone, you can even take pictures and send pictures to your buddies. We'll demonstrate that a little later on here. And they have modified the radio. They changed the GPS receiver to make it more sensitive than the original. And I've got one of each. I can't tell the difference between them myself. Okay. The FTM 100D. Now, if you want a 50-watt mobile rig, but you're not interested in dual band receive, this would be the way to go. It's a good radio for what it does. It's not too expensive.
This is what I run the wires X room for the club off of. I bought one of these because I figured if I'm gonna tie it up on one frequency, I just use that. I never even programmed the radio. I plug it into the computer and it tells it what frequency to be on and everything.
Alrighty. Now, this is Adam's radio also, the FTM 7250. He's got that in his patrol car in case you haven't noticed. And it's a good radio. I like the radio myself. I actually have considered buying one for myself. And I may yet, I don't know. I would like to have another 400, so I haven't decided for sure what I'm going to do.
That was about $209 right now.
Yeah, they've had some good prices on this stuff here lately. The 400's $449, I think, which is a lot less than I paid for mine. Here's that. Now the next radio we're talking about is the FTM 3200D. Anybody got one of those? I don't know if anybody that has one.
Yeah, David.
I got one.
Yeah, Kim.
All right. It's a high power. Well, they say high power. 65, yeah, 65 watts. Which is, the other radios, most mobile radios are 50 watts, so it's not that big a jump. Now here's the 3207D. It's a 55 watt radio. If you want a single band radio, that would be the way to go. Now the HRI 200, I've got one here. I didn't set it up because we're using something different tonight. The HRI 200 allows you to use wires X with any radio. You say, well, what if you want digital? Well, you've got to have a digital radio if you're going to go digital. But this will operate analog as well. And in fact, I bought the HRI 200 before I even had a digital radio, and I plugged it into my FT 8800, which is an analog radio, and it worked just fine. But you got to remember you're on analog, and if you build one of these or buy one of these, this is a microphone that plugs right into the HRI 200, and you don't even have to use a radio with it. It's very simple. Got a push to talk button on the side of it.
That all hooks to computers, right?
No. This does, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
That hooks to
HRI 200
computers.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not the microphone. And the disadvantage is you have to plug in an external speaker, preferably a computer speaker, an amplified computer speaker, because it doesn't pass that analog voice onto the computer. So in order to hear the person you're talking to, you need to use a set of external speakers. That's one way to get on the air without buying a digital radio. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, these are not digital, so we won't even get into those. Okay. Now we need to. Nick, are you ready to?
He had
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let's see here. Well, what we've got, I've got my FT2 DR, and I'm going to put it on direct mode. There's two modes on Wires X. There's two, well, there's more than two modes of operation, but we're only going to discuss two tonight. There's direct. In direct mode, you use the radio as a microphone and a speaker. You don't even transmit any radio frequency. And if you go to frequency mode, then you do transmit on whatever frequency you have set for. One of our colleagues who is in Metaview is expecting a call from me, so let's see if we can get him on the line here. Let's see, right there he is. KD4 WMX, KD4 CCO. I don't have good deal.
There he is.
Okay, Ken, we're right in the middle of the presentation here. The whole group is anxiously awaiting your greetings from Metaview. So I cranked the volume up, I think, enough to where everybody can hear it, so go ahead.
Well, my business, I'll say, how did everybody meeting? And I'm sure that the four CCO and the people who get me in is doing this with fine information. People that don't have the fusion radio or Wires X capabilities. But I can tell you, if you get it, you'll be very pleased with it. I would say thanks to everyone that we have to set up my Wires X and set up my FT2 to be able to communicate a lot clear on fusion than it is analog. So I won't hold it too long. I just want to say 73 to everybody and hope you all won a lot. It's 84 to the next later monitoring.
Okay, Ken, I appreciate you checking in with us. Everything's working for a change. So you know how these things are when you throw it together. It doesn't always work the way you anticipate it, but in this case, it's working fine. So appreciate you come back and your good words. So we'll turn this. We'll go back to the meeting and continue. So this is KD4 CCO clear on the Wires X. Now, all I have to do to make this work is an interface cable. One end plugs into the radio, the other plugs into the computer, and then you download the software from Yaesu and register your radio with Yaesu, and they'll give you the numbers that you need to set it up. And although I selected Ken, he volunteered to help us out tonight. There are numerous rooms available to go to. There's the most used room is the America Link. Yeah. And there's usually about 100 guys logged into that thing about any given time.
You have a dummy question?
Sure.
Okay, are you using the internet? Or
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, you have to be on the internet for this to work.
for wires X.
Okay.
At some point it does, not every user, just one point.
Yep.
So if you wanted to use it, and you had access to the, what is it, 6.7, and you got a System Fusion capable radio, which is anything from the FT70 up, you got access to all this from the radio. We'll demonstrate that here in a second.
Only one at a time?
No. Anybody that comes in RF to the repeater is online capable. In other words, what do you mean one at a time?
How many people you have to wait your turn to use it? Just like you're on analog?
Just like any repeater.
Right.
Yeah. The wires X repeater is very similar it's very similar to an RF repeater. If somebody's talking, you wait till he's through, and then you throw out your call sign, and hopefully he'll hear you and acknowledge you. Fusion, wires X works the same way. If somebody's talking, you're not gonna get through because they're gonna override you. But as soon as they're through talking, then you can throw out your call sign or call someone that you know and start your conversation.
Supposing somebody's using the repeater in the analog mode.
Well, you will see that on your radio. Your signal meter will indicate there's somebody on there. Plus, your mode, automatic mode select, the AMS, which will change your radio. If they're talking analog, it'll change your radio to analog so you can hear what they're saying. Or vice versa. If they're digital and you're analog and you've got a digital radio, it will switch automatically to whatever mode they're using.
I've had some of the issues, and I know where you're going with on this. Are you currently using the repeater, or are you? I'm just going to throw out some scenarios because I've seen it. Are you using the repeater, or are you monitoring the analog? If you're monitoring an analog, I think the club, this is just my recommendation, ought to come up with something just like you would on any, ask if it's in use. And if it's not in use, I mean, we're all gentlemen's agreement, best practices, and it works better for everybody and keeps everybody on the same page. And I get it. We're gonna have analog users, that's gonna be analog only users. And we don't want to do nothing to be a hindrance to the analog users. But if you don't program your radio correctly, you'll hear the digital noise, and that will drive you crazy when you're monitoring an analog. But if it's programmed correctly, you'll see a carrier, but you won't hear nothing, so you'll know it's being used in digital. There's no way of really eliminating anything else than that.
Well, spurious images or the signals interfere with this technology.
I have not had nothing on digital side. Digital side is solid as solid can be.
The only thing that that interference can do, their signal may be stronger than the digital signal, which would drown it out. But as far as
I just see all this switching back and forth and automatically checking this mode, that mode. I can just kind of see a little bit of the wrong kind of a radio station or stray signal getting in and kind of interference, but we're fairly resistant to that.
We run the 443 and the 442, and which that repeater in the 443. My repeater stays keyed up 24/7, and to my knowledge, it's never messed with the 443. And I monitor both of them. Actually, mine, where I get a stronger signal, it'll ground it out when I'm monitoring the 443, not spurs. It's just for my repeater. I'm right there at my repeater location. But I've never witnessed that on digital.
So it goes without saying it's 100% necessary to have the internet connection.
If you're going to run wires X, but not for C4 FM. And then y'all got the System 2 Fusion. That's just another facet of System Fusion is wires X. Wires X is not the digital C4 FM.
There are several protocols for digital. Is there any likelihood of interoperability in the immediate future, I don't wanna buy another Betamax.
I understand. I wish they would be. Unfortunately, I don't see that. I see C4FM being proprietary to Yaesu, as in when you have DMR, you got multiple manufacturers that's come into DMR. As a P25, you're gonna have multiple Kenwood, Yaesu, different ones that's coming into P25. For Yaesu System Fusion, and I've been in different rooms, I've been in, and I've listened where they've cross-bridged, they are a difference. That's where the havoc comes in at. It's when people take the raspberries and they're cross bringing different rooms in and they're cross-linking DMR to Fusion, and it don't play happy. The more users you get in it, the less happy it is. That's the...
I guess you guys are gonna explain chat rooms and the other thing you just said?
All right, bridges. American Link. Before we go, he'll pull up American Link. American Link normally has between 100 to 190 connections. And that's people like Dallas connecting. It'd be anybody with that, let me back up. I want to try to simplify it. All right. When WiresX first rolled out, you had to have the HRI 200. The HRI 200 either worked on a DR1X repeater or it worked on the FT1 or 400 as a simplex node or repeater frequency. So they split it out and they went to where people could get personal PDN nodes. That's a PDN node back there on the table. This is a PDN node right here. Personal digital node. You can run it off of a FT3, an FT2, a 400, or a 100. There's 4 modes within the PDN mode. System Fusion gets really complicated if you let it. But the thing is,
I have 2 of them.
How's American
What's
Link
American?
work
I
out?
think they're not powerful right.
now when you go to American Link and you key up and talk, you might be talking to somebody on DMR. You might be talking to somebody that's bridged in. American Link is one of the rooms where they have bridges. That's not strictly System Fusion. You can go to rooms that are strictly System Fusion. When I say a room, you purchase a FTM 400 or you purchase an HRI 200. You set it up with Yaesu. You give them your call sign. Your call sign is linked to this HRI 200. If you buy an FT2 or an FT3 and want a PDN node, your call sign is linked to the radio number, the model number, the serial number of this radio is linked to it. Then they'll give you a ID number, a node number, or a room number. It's 2, but it don't have to be, that's something you don't have to do if you don't want it. You still got WiresX capability, and it's as simple as the only thing you gotta do is key the radio up and talk.
You
And
have
not
to
do
rewind
nothing
the tape
else.
when you're done?
Yeah, otherwise they'll charge you $5.
If you want to talk to somebody in particular, you gotta know all his
Right.
license numbers, whatever. But-
You don't have to do, you
No,
don't
you
have
just
to,
need
you don't have to
those
license nothing to use it.
No, I'm not the wrong word.
Right.
You have to know his numbers.
No.
All you have to know, all you have to know is your
Top
own.
lock, like,
No,
Your own number's all you have to know.
yeah.
And when you program that into the software, it's there.
Everything's there, it's pretty populated.
so you gotta have the computer, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And I go
For the
to-
WiresX part.
For
not
the
not
WiresX
just use
part,
the
not to
repeater.
use if you just want to use our repeater in digital, all you gotta do is just talk RF.
Okay,
Yeah, it's 2 separate things.
Yeah,
They kind of.
you don't.
I
need
just
the
said,
right. When I'm mobile in the mornings, I'm in my car, I can talk to you all on analog, I can flip over and talk digital with the same RF signal I'm emitting from my radio without using an internet connection.
I'm going to simulate
Yeah.
something that's, we're simplex here, but this works no different than if you were on the repeater.
The only difference between simplex and repeater is just that.
Right, that's the only
Simplex,
difference.
you're on one frequency.
So let's say
Repeater, you're using
you wanted to
transmit.
go on the club repeater, and if you didn't want to change the room and you just wanted to talk where it's at, if I key
Wait a
up.
minute, back up, change the room.
Right.
What does that mean?
There's thousands of rooms that you can connect. You can connect to my room, you can connect to Texas, you can connect.
He's confused on being able to talk through the repeater versus what these rooms are.
All
I
right.
think that's
If
where
you
the
don't,
confusion
if you don't want to
begins.
use this,
Yeah.
you don't have to.
Bathroom.
I don't know what room.
Kind of think about it like the
You
rooms
just key it
link
up.
radios or
and use it.
repeaters.
Mhm.
So if we turn, my radio to the repeater or to the room rather, and the repeater to the room, and his radio to the room, then we're all talking, and we may be on several different repeaters or frequencies.
Okay, if you're a group of people with a common interest, then you would set up a room, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
you can do
Okay,
that.
so when you go in that room, you can discuss a common interest.
right.
Will that work? Okay.
Yes.
It's easier to use than it is to explain, okay.
Think of it as, let me back up this way, this might make more sense. And everybody's used to setting up a intranet. You take one computer as a host and you got slaves. All the slaves talk to the host. I don't want to complicate it, but that's as simple as I can get it. I could draw it out easier than I could explain it. But if you don't want to use, if you're sitting there and I can tell what room if the repeater's linked up. You can tell that through your radio, and if you just sit there and monitor their call sign, everything will come across, and it'll tell you if it's linked or you'll know who it is, and you'll know who's transmitting.
Okay, I went into Ken's room, which I did before. Now, if you want to connect to Ken's room from that radio, all you gotta do is put that in, put it on the same frequency, just a simplex, right? Tell me if I'm wrong.
And what's that now?
If you wanted to talk to Ken
If
without.
I key up right now, I'll be talking on 443.
Yeah.
Yes. KD4 WMX, W4 DWN. Probably not monitoring.
Yeah, we let him go there a while ago, and he was probably doing something else.
He went to another room, didn't
You
he?
went to
He
another
could
room.
have.
He went to the bathroom.
Yeah,
He went to the bathroom.
Like let's say, like on Wednesday night, there's a net that comes through on a room out of Georgia. So I'll get on the 6-7 repeater and I'll link it to that room. And then everybody that has a radio that's monitoring 6-7 on digital can participate without doing anything.
Small bladder room, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm going to small bladder room.
All right.
Yes, sir. Skateboard WMX, go ahead.
All right, I'm just testing Wires X node now. Coming through the FT70 through Dallas's PDN node to the 443.
Fine business. Well, you're sounding good. Perfectly clear. Good signal. My radio's doing as good as yours is.
Sounding good. Well, I'm going to go back to trying to explain this, but I appreciate you coming back in. It's D4DWN clear.
Okay, now, if a person disappears, that person's got trapped in an escape room someplace.
Fine business. Enjoy the meeting. 73, buddy.
What's that now?
I said, if a person disappears, that means they're trapped in an escape room and haven't figured out how to get out.
There's nothing to be leery about after you get into it and play around with it, unless you go to a Japanese room and I can't understand Japanese. That's the only time I've had issues.
Oh, you can't translate automatically?
No.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Now, I set mine up a lot, using a 70
Uh-huh.
and a 400 in my shack
Uh-huh.
to Wars X. Somewhere did I read that they would like for you to use,
Now, you come out with that, but it's not being,
That's not.
it's not.
It's
taken
not
off.
official.
It's not official.
Some
That's
people
what I've been
agree.
using, so,
That's
That's
fine. I use 560,
yeah.
so
I've been using 565
it-
and it transmit because now I went down, I live behind Kentucky Fried Chicken in Piney Flats, all right? And I've got everything on low power. I can go all the way over the hill to Food City Shopping Center, and actually I can go halfway to Johnson City and still talk back to my 400 at the house, to whatever room I've logged into on RSX.
I'll tell you what I like about it. I can put this in my work truck and I can stay in the 443, no matter where I go, as long as my have. Of course, I can pick my cell phone up and call, but I like being able to stay in to my local repeater. Be able to do the same thing with the 6 or y'all's repeater. When I'm out traveling, I know the guys, I know who I want to talk to, and I'll flip over and go to other repeaters, but I like having that capability if I want to do that. Even when I'm at the hotel room, when I'm out working, if I want to monitor or log in, I can get my PDN node, and I'm actually talking and not even using any RF. Or I can set it up if I'm at my hotel and I want to talk on the 443, but I want to go downtown or within a range from I'll leave out and I'll put it to RSX, and then I can go to RF mode, put my HT on, and I'm talking RF, but I'm still talking to the 443. If the repeater or internet goes down, yeah, I've never seen it go down since it's been in existence, but it's possible.
Is the word node synonymous with what we've been talking about?
A node? Yes.
Node.
Yes.
It's the same as what?
A node in a room is virtually the same thing. But it is a little different. If I want to talk to you directly, I go to your node. If I want to talk to you in a room where multiple people, everybody comes into this room and we're talking. So you take your node and put it in my room, he takes his node, puts it in my room, his node is in my room. Whoever room you're in is who you talk to through your node.
It's like having another licensed call sign.
You already want that.
Okay,
You
now,
got
It still displays your call.
Right.
I didn't mean to.
I'm figuring out this is ham radio meets the 21st century.
I don't know if it'd be 21st, but
I would say, yeah, late 20th century.
Yeah.
It's finally catching up.
the thing about, for me, I don't want to complicate things. I really don't want to complicate things. And what is one of the golden rules of ham radio you cannot do to any radio transmission?
Interfere.
Encrypt.
Yeah.
So in other words, no matter what frequency I'm talking on, no matter what mode I'm using, you gotta have capability to do what? Hear what I'm saying. Let's say you're having a run through town. There's other people using the repeater, but you only want to hear who's in your group doing that run. You can do that. Everybody else is going to hear you, but you're only going to hear the group that you set up and give permission to. That's handy. I only want to hear what's going on. I don't want to hear this other traffic. I don't want to hear these other communications. I want to hear what's going on. Or if you can listen to the whole group at one time. There's a lot of capability with System Fusion. We ain't even touched it. We ain't even touched it.
I'll let you continue on, but we need to touch on repeater linking.
Mhm.
You want to say a few words about that?
With the DR2, with where's that?
DR2.
All right,
Well,
Mark.
that's a little advanced, I think, for
Okay.
us.
There's multiple things, and what we normally do, and been doing it with, I'm gonna dry erase up here. I have wires Xbox running in my house, and it's linked to the 442 repeater. Ken Merle has a wires Xbox, and it's linked to the 443 repeater. Your Wires X box is linked to the Bristol Clover repeater. So we designate one of our rooms, which is going to be Ken Murray. I link my node to his room, and I'll let Dallas bring that up. And you'll see, okay,
Next on the
Yeah,
right.
that's 6-7.
yeah.
Somebody's in
six,
there,
seven.
don't know that's you.
There we go.
So now, when I do that with my repeater, the 442 is now linked to the 443. When he links his node to Ken's room, 442 to 443 and the Bristol repeater is linked together. Whoever, and then you can link your simplex node to Ken's room and be on your simplex frequency.
Right.
Now, whenever you're you're coming out to 442, to 443, the Bristol repeater, plus your simplex frequency. So now you got 4. Now somebody else links their node or repeater in. And if you look over here on the side, I don't know if we can see it. All right, this right here is this guy's call sign and a node. ND is a node. They want everybody to set up when you set it up, and the best way to do it, if it's a repeater, you put RPT. If you're a simplex node, you put ND after, so everybody knows if it's a repeater or a node. These right here, something probably they could be coming in through DMR, or they're cross banding in. I know it sounds, it's a lot to take in. To simplify, and I will say this, if the internet goes down, the DR2 that y'all have can use and still link to another DR2 repeater, and it requires no internet. In case of an emergency, you don't have to have no controller. You can do it all from linking with your handheld or with your mobile, and you can link repeaters.
How many nodes can there be?
It's unlimited.
Well, I was looking at USA there a while ago, America USA linked 121 nodes. So if you bring that up, then theoretically it's 121 nodes, and don't tell them how many people are connected to those nodes, it's almost infinite.
It starts like a tree. And that's just one room. There's thousands of rooms now.
If you look on there at the different locations, there's a lot in Japan. So unless you speak Japanese, you probably don't want to mess with those.
Just about every county, every town, and within the United States has multiple.
I hate to sound like sour grapes here, but what's the advantage over the internet of the cell phone? Pick it up, punch it in, and then you go.
It's just ham radios talking to each other, operators.
Just
Somewhere
every-
along the line, most of the time you're using RF.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you still got the good old
Well, think about it.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
Think about it like this too. If I put the 6-7 repeater into their room to link the 443, if I do that from my radio and then you monitor the 6-7 on digital, and so does like everybody else in the room, then we're all using both repeaters. In other words, and to you, it's just like using another mode. It's using C4 FM. You know, one person only has to link the repeater, and then everybody else can use it. Just like normal, join in and may not even realize that it's linked.
Another thing that we have done is that we have, in the analog mode, we have linked together HF frequencies to 6-4 repeater and the 443 repeater. So the frequency, depending on the radio you've got, that's what you can do with it. If you've got a 991 is capable of analog, digital, HF, VHF, UHF, all modes.
Do you see this getting to a point where everybody's going to get hooked together and the whole damn thing's gonna collapse?
It has.
It
That's
has.
why I don't link us to American Link, because that thing is like our rooms are tame, and we can control that, but American Link is, you get on there sometimes, and yeah, it's
Here's another
chaos.
thing, I don't know if you've looked into this or not. As a club and as a repeater owner, I don't want interference. If somebody comes in digital and they key up, I know what type of radio they are. Well, depending on which one it is, you'll know the call sign if they put the right one in, but if it's a newer radio or higher end radio, you're gonna know their location. You're gonna know pretty much where they're at, so if you have interference, unintentional interference, there's a log that runs all the time. You can go back, you'll know who keyed up, when they keyed up, and if you have an issue, and we've had to do that.
Yeah.
We've had to do that. And it's been other people, not local, it's been people that's come through the internet. All right, let's say they give trouble. You can block them from coming on your system.
And I check our log pretty much daily on the one that I've got set up through 6-7.
Okay, so you have no ham radio, but you have internet, you can still get on this thing?
I'm sorry?
You have no ham radio whatsoever, but you have internet?
No, sir, you can't get on it. No, sir.
You have, before you can register your radio, you must give a call sign, valid call sign.
There's no way to get on Wires X. Either you gotta be in PDN mode or RF through a repeater or through you can't come through the internet and talk like you can on the other. You don't have access to it.
It's not like Echo.
No.
Echo Link, you have to have a
Yeah.
call sign.
Yeah, but you could dial in just from a computer.
Right, you
Yeah,
can talk
yeah.
computer to
You just can't
computer
have-
or,
yeah.
no, you can't do that.
It's ham radio that will get on this.
I'm sorry?
What is the simplest ham radio that can get on, like a 2-way walkie-talkie or?
$25 bail thing.
I'm looking for a Bay thing for dummies. I've had one for a year and I haven't figured it out yet.
If you set up and run it in analog, you got all these capabilities in analog just like you do digital, except you can't do the text, you can't do the pictures, and the audio quality is nowhere near as good.
Analog is a different animal, although it uses the same equipment. In fact, that's how I got started. I bought a HRI 200 and connected to the analog notes. Well, everything was analog back then. And that's how I got started. I built myself a microphone that plugs into the HRI 200, and I didn't even have to have a radio connected to it. All I needed was a computer and the HRI 200.
I'm going to, I know you understand what I'm going to say, and I know Keith will understand what I'm going to say, but I'm going to give a demonstration. And just work with me. I don't care if it's P25, DMR, Yaesu System Fusion, RF. This is RF right here. There's no internet tied to this, no way. I'm talking to you simplex. We're in C4FM mode. We go to Chilhowie Elementary School. And the way a lot of that is built in any building, right here in the hospital. What are we? We're in a big Faraday cage. There's no RF coming in, and there's no RF going out. What if, in an emergency situation, you had a quick deployable repeater set up that was in C4FM or P25, or it was voice over IP, and we got what, ever so many feet? Huh? You got Wi-Fi. What's going to happen when you tie that into this, whenever you go into an RF shield, you're going to have communications from one end to the other that's not going to drop out. That's going to switch from RF back to voice over IP. That's the same thing, and that's the principle behind digital. That's the advantage of digital. You can actually set this up to where it would work that way if you were in an RF tribe environment. That's just one good aspect for me of how I like using it. Another user come by, he wouldn't know the difference. He could stay strictly on RF. He don't know that he's going through the internet. And then he gets out to another link and hits it. He don't know. It could be no internet involved whatsoever. But on his end, it's seamless. He won't know the difference. The issue is honestly is when you have digital and analog users and you got one guy that's wanting to talk analog and another one that's wanting to talk digital, and they have to be a gentleman's agreement. Without that gentleman's agreement, you can have issues, but that's,
Okay, is there a combination of modes or something that could cause you to get an unexpectedly high cell phone bill?
yeah. I run my PDN node off my cell phone. And then when I link it up wherever they have Wi-Fi, but 99% of the time that I've got unlimited, I don't pay no attention to it. It stays hooked up all the time.
10-year-old radio here says, if you don't know the access number in the network, you have to talk to the owner of the node to get that number, to get hooked in.
Is that wouldn't be on C4 FM?
No.
That's not C4 FM.
That's probably DMR.
It's just the radio group, SGR,
No.
SRG.
That's a
Wires.
That's a code plug that some people, that's when it really gets complicated.
It says wires, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, wires that's the old wire system. That
It's
wasn't
obsolete.
even digital.
Obsolete now.
Let's say I'm in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
I get home, homesick. I've got the setup you've got right here.
Yes, sir.
I decide, well, I'll check in the net in Bristol tonight for today and talk to some of the guys and see what's going on. How do I find a room or a person to hook up through to get to the repeater? Or is our repeater actually hooked up to the internet?
We've got our own room. So you just look up Bristol ARC or put in room number 61243.
Does it go to the repeater or through, say, your?
It goes through a radio at my house, which transmits through the repeater. So essentially, you can use 6.7 from anywhere in the world that way.
Yeah.
On the digital side, right? I got it set digital only at the moment, but we could flip it analog for net night if we wanted to, and then flip it back.
I like having it where you got it, because if you do have an issue.
I leave it digital because it's a little more functionality from the radio out in the field somewhere and less complicated as far as like analog putting in DTMF codes and all that.
Analog, the audio level is sometimes difficult to get just adjusted right.
Yeah.
While is with digital, it's all preset. So unless you've got something that's not functioning properly, the voice is going to sound good on digital. Whereas you go to analog, it may or may not sound good.
Yeah, like,
Or hear it at all.
you know, if you knew Kevin Nichols, you know, he moved to Chattanooga, he's actually going to invest in a radio so he can talk back to us on 6.7. So anybody that moves away from here or travels away from here or something that wants to do that HT right there, single cable into your computer, and you can talk back home.
See, when they put us in a home, we
Exactly.
can't have outside
I'll
antennas.
tell you
Yeah,
something
yeah,
else
yeah.
just
that I would recommend to the club.
The home of
I'm
the
serious,
farm,
man.
the home of the
Hey, it's
farm.
not that far away.
You remember when Tom Macy used to go out of town, he actually set his own system up
Yeah.
and talk back to 6.7. Well, now this is a software provided by Yaesu that
Yeah.
anybody in the world, Dave, what's his name? It's escaping me, the English guy.
Custom.
Ridley.
Yeah, really.
He actually will get on our repeater and sometimes dial up UK and talk to them. Like change our room over to UK. So the other day I was driving along and I see a signal come on my radio. And I'm driving down State Street, I turn it up and I hear these people, I can't make out a word they're saying. It's like somebody from Scotland, somebody from England was talking on the 6.7 repeater. So,
It's good to have 2 or 3 people within your club that has access, and we've done it in the past. I'm just throwing this out to be a help. But whatever computer that you're running the WiresX node on, we can have access to remote into it. So in other words, like Ken Merle, I have access to his computer from my cell phone. If I need to go in and make a change to WiresX, hook it up, turn it down, turn it off, leave, I can do it from my cell phone as long as I have protection.
I need to get with you and learn a little more
And
about that
vice
part of
versa.
it.
Because you never know when you're gonna have somebody from you know where log in and could cause an issue. That's just,
And that's one thing, I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but they let me put a radio in my work car. So if I'm not busy, I've got 6, 7 turned on, so if any crap starts happening, I can shut it down, I can shut the room off, from that radio, I can shut the whole repeater down, whatever I need to do to get rid of the interference until we can fix it. I've also shared that with a few other people as well, that can do it, but, I'm able to listen at work, so I'll probably listen to that thing unless I'm sleeping, I've got it on.
I know it's a lot to take in on the aspect of how different it is and how different it operates. But the simple part of it is you can program it in, put your radio in AMS. If I come on and talk in digital, you want to come back, you key up, you don't do nothing, you just key up, you're going to be in digital. If I come on in analog and you come back talk to me, you're going to be in analog. Last in, first out. Same, it just switches. When you get everybody on the same page, it works. I've had some issues we've had to work throughout the years, but now, knock on wood, I'll probably have one when we go back. I haven't had nothing happen since probably been right at a year now from interference. Probably not close to a year.
And usually the interference is one of us playing around. I do identify myself.
But if you've got one of these FT70s, which is the cheapest digital radio you can buy, on Wednesday night and Saturday night, if the frequency's not in use on the digital side, I tune into a couple different nets, their net on Saturday and a net out of Georgia on Wednesday. And all you have to do is tune to the 670 digital mode, and it'll be there for you, and you key in you don't have to worry about any of this. I've done all that myself for you. All you gotta do is tune the frequency in and check into the net or listen to the net or whatever you want to do.
I know somebody's got another question.
You want to transfer a picture?
Yes, sir. We're gonna, let me find that microphone. Let's see. Set yours up on simplex frequency.
What they're about to do with this picture sending, you can do that through the repeater. Me and Daryl Wynn figured that out the other day, that it'll come through. Just don't key up while you're down there. I had to make him resend it because I punched it up by accident.
Next thing you know, somebody will be sending girly pictures.
Like they do on slow scan TV.
You gotta watch, because anybody monitoring's gonna get it.
Yeah.
If they have a radio that'll receive it.
I've seen some pretty risque things on 20 meters.
Yeah.
We can. Well, good thing about the digital side, if they do that, we can throw the band hammer on them and keep
Bob
it
and I got a QSL card from the same operator in Spain a few years ago.
Yeah.
And he was showing off his trophy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, on his QSL card.
They come through the road, Ben and I both got the same car.
I think it came through the bureau or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Spain?
It was from Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Let's see.
Surprised it didn't get the bureau sort of a heart attack.
Yeah. So just go show you, they don't pay much attention.
No. Better be seen it a gazillion times.
Back on back.
Well, look here what that lucky guy got.
I can't tell you if it's a good picture or a bad picture. You know, it is what it is with pixels. But now if you pull the SD card out, put it in the computer, it does good. And then on the 400,
Say cheese.
you'll see a better picture. Do it for me, all right?
I did.
No.
We're gonna save it. And what it does, it saves the picture to the SD card, memory card that's built in or plugged in. Okay, now I'm gonna send it.
See it received.
Why isn't it showing up? Well, see, it is.
Yeah, it's received.
It won't show up till it's finished. And it's not a high quality picture. It's not one, it's not an HD picture, in other words, high definition. And it's not fast.
That's a little too big.
Yeah, it's in DW mode. And I got this set up for the highest resolution, so that's the reason it's taking so long.
I'll tell you something I have noticed is people coming in RF on the 443, they can switch over to analog, they can't even keep the machine up. They go to digital, no issue. And that's RF only.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
RF only, simplex, you're out talking, we use digital at work. I can't even talk to them in analog, we get on
There
the
it
digital
is.
side, I got them.
Yep.
Black and white,
No, it's color.
Did it come through on that?
not from here.
It's your cataract.
Which reflector would I use to be able to get into your room with my hotspot?
You would have to have one, basically, or not one.
Oh, yeah.
You would have to have a reflector set up and have it bridged in.
Oh,
Yeah.
To,
It'd have to have a bridge.
yeah.
I'll be well versed. You might want to come by and look at it.
Kept it to-
It's not a high quality picture. It's,
On there.
your cell phone will do a lot better than it will.
About 6 or 8 seconds.
Oh, I know it.
From
Black
black and white, you and I were talking on the phone before you
Yes,
missed.
got
Wire
the
strips to the wire strips.
It'll be amazing.
Instantaneous.
Yeah.
That's what I want to get an FT100.
Yeah.
Now, the FT3 might have a better, I'm sure.
This
it's
guy, yeah.
Got a lot better, it's gonna be more like that.
Yeah. Cause that's that's an actual screen on,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that, yeah. Yeah.
The FT2 is black and white only.
Close.
The guy holding the camera wasn't,
Oh, ain't bad at all.
wasn't real.
Huh.
That's right.
And another thing that I've done is I've got pre-messages made already in here, and you can send out a group message. A lot of times, like for Skywarn and different ones, when I know it's already pre-populated, bam, bam, hit a button, it alerts they got it. Just getting everybody on the same page to use it, but I love it. And then you'll know if you leave the radio on, you come back, you'll know if you got a message, it'll be flashing.
Yeah.
And it saves it to the disk, you can go back and look at it. I like that. Myself, a lot of times it's easier for me to, I'd rather text my wife and talk to her anyways.
I was getting ready to say, I remember about 2003, 2004, text messaging on phones was still pretty foreign to most people, and now that's more the norm than it is talking by voice.
You know, if history, and they say it does, and it will repeat itself. When we look back at the hurricanes we had, and I'm talking to the people's lives that were saved, and look at what they used in communication. And it's been, the Cajun Navy saved over 6,000 people. And the only thing they got that could work when they done it, when they were in hurricanes, was voice over IP. Voice over IP, and I know this for a fact, on your cell phone service, when we're using something like this and it's put in existence, you know what FirstNet is?
I remember you telling me about it.
All right, FirstNet, that's a part of it. But the way the Cajun Navy, if you're somewhere and you have your cell phone and you can't make a phone call, you make a text message, and it's about 95% going to go through. Just because you can't make a phone call, you think cell service is down. there are different bands within the cell service that phone uses, that voice uses, and that data uses. Most of the time, you might not even have a bar on your cell phone. You can make or receive a cell phone, a text message, or you can't make a voice call. That's the same thing, band 14.
I had a brain fade there for a second. Actually, I have FirstNet on AT&T, and when the Bristol race comes to town.
You got priority.
Yeah, I used to have trouble getting a signal out, even with the few people that show up for the race nowadays. But now I can make phone calls and do whatever. No, I never lose anything.
And it's getting ready to change again too.
Yeah.
But please don't complicate it. Don't be leery of it, and don't be thinking you're gonna mess up something. So what if you link into another room and get on it, explore with it, use it, and you'll see that it is really simple.
Now, if you want to throw a monkey wrench in that works, we have not even discussed APRS, which is a function of most of the high-end radios. We will save that for another meeting.
And TXID.
Yeah, TXID is another good one.
IMS, group monitoring.
It's the technology is growing faster than we can keep up with it. I can't hardly keep up with it. Nick's pretty good at it. And when it first came out, I thought I knew a thing or two about it. I found out I knew very, very little compared to these guys that work with it every day.
Are there rooms for like PSK 31 or JT 65? Is that a
I have
simple
actually
question?
seen one listed for
Yeah.
JT 65.
I
And I
figured
think
why not?
I've seen a PSK 31 room. Where
Yeah.
they just get in there and just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's even like a YouTube user room I got into one time when we were doing the YouTube stuff with the club.
There's several 10-meter rooms. It's 10 meter on them.
When I first got my room number that I now call the Bristol Amateur Radio Club room, I call it Space Mountain. At first. Then when the club okayed me, I changed it to Bristol Amateur Radio Club. Yeah.
That
Ric Flair on there.
that dog, what was that name of that?
Yard dog?
Yard dog, yeah.
Yeah.
I checked, I was just thumbing through the rooms the other night, and I connected to the yard dog room. Nobody was talking, so I got distracted and went and did something else. I walked back in the room and somebody was calling my call sign.
He saw you connect.
And he saw, yeah, it displays right on the room ID.
Yeah, if you ever want to always have somebody to talk to, connect to the Yard Dogs room and throw out the call K1KC. He will actually connect to the Bristol room looking for me sometimes. I think he's even run across a few of y'all. But he's very active. His room actually has like a couple nodes connected to it, as well as at least 2 repeaters, I think.
Well, yeah, he's got a couple repeaters.
Yeah, Conyers, Georgia, and Stone Mountain, Georgia, in that area. And they're a really good group. That's who I connect to on Wednesdays for their net. They're a really good group to talk to. You can always find somebody to talk to. And they sound like us. They don't sound like people. But,
Something else I'd like to say.
Excuse me, sorry if I offend anyone. No, I'm kidding. So, but no, most of them are.
I had my nephews come along,
I'll just put it that way.
I couldn't wait to show them the radio. Had HF going, had all this stuff going, the computers going. And I'm like, this is gonna blow their mind. They come by, they stick their head in the room in 2 seconds, and so help me, this come out of their work mouth. This is the stupidest stuff I ever seen in my life. And if I could have talked about to them, I would. I mean, I was infuriated with it, because I did. I love HF. I love all different aspects of ham radio and what you can do with it. And I made it a point while they were there spending the weekend with me. I want to prove to them that they can have fun with ham radio. So I'm sitting there, and I see him, and he's got his virtual thing on his headset, and I don't know who he's talking to, and I don't know what game he's playing, because I can't see it on the TV with his virtual headset. And I told him, I said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Until I put it on. 3 hours later, they're begging me, wanting to get back on it. I'd never witnessed or I mean, it was awesome. Yeah, so I seen then why I couldn't reach them. And they were talking all around the world. They had buddies that, what's the difference? And I got to thinking of putting 2 and 2 together. if you can put that and bring some of that back into ham radio, we're gonna have to do something for our younger generation. We're gonna have to stay with the technology. Things are changing. And that alerted me right then. I didn't know nothing. And I thought I knew something. I didn't know nothing.
The way I look at this stuff too is you can get on the 6-7 repeater, 443 or whatever, dial up these rooms. You can always find somebody to talk to and make I've made a lot of new friends, people that I talk to on a regular basis now using this stuff. So I don't always go through the repeater. Sometimes I just use my own node and do it so I don't disrupt the repeater. But sometimes I connect the repeater, and I've brought other people into some of these groups that I talk to, and people make new friends. And you know, the spirit of ham radio, we're not gaining numbers like we used to right here in our own town and all the other towns around us. But this way, you know, if there's only a fraction of the ham operators there used to be, at least we can bring us all together this way as well, and not just HF. But it's not worked all states. It's not DXCC. You know, because if I talk to England on the 6-7 repeater, I don't feel like I've accomplished anything in that realm. But I've made a friend that I can talk to on a regular basis using a mode that I can hear and clear anytime I want to.
Well, unless you've got.
Clear as mud, ain't it?
Good job.
I'm gonna shut this down.